Have you ever had an argument and thought, we just had this exact fight last week? Maybe different words, the same frustration, the same outcome. And so today, I'm going to explain why couples, just like you and me, keep having the same fight over and over again. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to finally break the cycle. The first point is the fight is rarely about the fight. Sometimes we hear people tell me, a lot of times people tell me that they fight about money or the kids or the chores or in-laws. And those are some top reasons of folks divorce is that they can't agree on the kids or the in-laws or they quote money issues or career. So those are big ticket items, right? And we're not going to dispute that. But when is money not about money? And when are chores not about the dishes or the trash going out? Or parenting isn't about parenting. The kids got to stay up too late. You fed them junk food instead of the organic food. When is parenting not the parenting, chores not the chores, money not the money? And I'm going to talk about that. It's really usually about feeling unheard. That's right. When you're having a repetitive fight, it isn't necessarily the topic, but there's other things, deeper things. Feeling unheard. My opinion doesn't count. You're not listening to me. Feeling unimportant. I'm just here to lift and carry and make things run, but I'm not feeling special anymore. And I'm also feeling alone. Those are three top things that clients and folks tell me about fights and feeling disconnected from one another. And finally, there's feeling criticized. My opinion doesn't count. My way is equally as valuable as your way, and yet it isn't. So let's start with point number one. The fight is rarely about the fight. And here's some examples. Money isn't about money, and the chores really aren't about the dishes or the laundry or the lawn. And parenting isn't really about parenting. If you fed them junk food, I only give them organic food. And I remember one client years ago where they let one weed grow in the middle of their driveway. And it wasn't because they couldn't bend over and pull the weed. I mean, that got about a foot and a half tall. They showed me pictures. They'd come in every week and show me pictures. It was about who's going to break and who's going to step in and do the thing that they were supposed to be doing, which was gardening, lawn keeping. And so when is the fight not about the weed? And in this case, it wasn't about the weed. And so what it was about, I'll share some of these things with you, is it's usually about feeling unheard, feeling unimportant, feeling alone, and most importantly, feeling criticized. Because in that couple, there was a very strong dynamic going on. And it wasn't just the weed. This dynamic, this pattern, as we're going to be talking about, had been going on for years and was deeply entrenched. So the day that weed started to raise its beautiful green body between the cracks in their driveway was the day that they had another one of those endless fights, no solutions. And so your takeaway here is the problem isn't the problem. That weed wasn't the weed for this couple. It's the patterns that's the problem. And so we're going to talk more about just how you can identify your pattern and break the cycle. You see, point number two is that most couples fight about the same three things. And so, although divorce statistics talk about money and parenting differences and career stressors and in-laws, it's really are three deeper things: communication, trust, and connection. If you don't have the right tools and strategies, if you don't know how to communicate to be heard, if you don't even know how to listen well, and that's a hard one. It seems like it should be easy for all of us, but listening is a difficult one. If you don't know how to communicate your thoughts, your words, your needs, what it isn't the weed, what it really is. If there is a feeling of mistrust, broken trust, a feeling that I'm not sure if I should share this again. I don't want to get my hopes up. All those kinds of things that I hear in couples that I work with that are really behind the problem, and connection or a lack of connection. We used to be on the same plane. We used to see each other's opinions. I used to feel like they had my back. And so this lack of connection and this disconnecting is a huge stressor for couples. So you're having the same fight. It's a different topic. That couple was the weeds. A few months earlier, it was a saw that was left out in the yard. Maybe another time it was the kids weren't started on their homework at the proper time, or dinner wasn't, or different topics, right? Maybe it resonates a little bit. Maybe you hear this, but it's the same emotional wounds. I thought we had a deal. You don't care about me. I'm just here for a paycheck. I can't trust you. I'm lonely. I'm missing that connection. So while the topics are different, the same emotional wounds are there. The third point, what most couples miss is they miss what they're really focusing on. When couples come to me, they're often caught into the focus is winning. I'm going to get the say that they were waiting. They were strong arming each other to say who was going to win. And by winning, it meant the other person caved and pulled the weed out. They focus on being right, and proving their point. And so when you're focused on winning, we're keeping score. We're needing to be right. We're not open to the other person's opinion. And so we shut down the communication chain. And finally, if we're proving our point, and we've also lost a curiosity for why our partner, why our spouse wants something or doesn't want something, what's so important, and what is their line in the sand. So here's what couples really need to be doing. Instead they should be asking, like, what is my partner, my spouse feeling right now? Remember, we're talking about there's a loss of communication, a loss of connection, there's old emotional wounds. What are they feeling right now? Because that is going to give you the key and the insight to open up curiosity and figure out what their needs might be. And finally, point number 4 is the emotional safety test. So I want to ask you guys, can your sweetheart, your partner, your hubby finally, can your partner, your sweetheart, your hubby, your wife feel safe and be able to tell you that they're hurt, that they're disappointed, that they're scared, that they're feeling lost, that they need something? If not, then emotional safety needs to be repaired. It really needs to be repaired before you can go further into doing the hard stuff, like talking about the what's really going on underneath. So here's my 3 steps reset solution. Here's what I want you to be able to do. The next time you're having one of those fights, pause a moment, stop escalating, stop trying to be right, stop trying to prove your point, stop trying to fix it. Simply understand by getting curious. Curiosity opens up our ears, we start listening to one another, and that's where real communication happens. When you get curious, it opens up the ability to repair, to reconnect with each other. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. I jumped the gun. I have let you down. Whatever that repair looks like. And that way you can reconnect before you're solving. Many people switch it around and they put we're going to come up with a solution. You can't create a solution that's going to last if you haven't done the repairs, if you haven't reconnected, if you aren't creating this emotional safety and feeling like they get me and I get them, right? So connection comes before correction. That's right. Connection comes before correction. So here's the thing. You don't need a completely different relationship. In fact, you're bound to repeat some of these same dynamics if you go out and rinse and repeat and try a new relationship. What is needed is that most couples need a different way of showing up inside the relationship that you already have. So before you think that we're not made for each other or this is hopeless, I want you to hear me again, that you don't need a completely different relationship. You don't need a divorce, break up, move out. What you do need is a different way of showing up inside the relationship that you already have. So I'd love to hear what's going on. So if you're watching this on YouTube, what I'd love for you to do is hit the subscribe button, if you already haven't, hit the like button, and drop a comment, same fight, in the section below if you've ever experienced this before.